On this Monday night, banning social media in Canada for anyone under 16. What's known about the federal government's proposal and the skepticism over how effective it will be.
Do you think most of your friends are going to try and find ways around it?
Yeah, for sure. I will.
Pomp and circumstance, the new Governor General's message to Canadians as she is sworn in. A powerful earthquake rattles the Philippines, the destruction and the frightening moments. Plus, back to the future.
I just couldn't believe that all of this could line up.
How a decades-old tip about a racehorse led to a windfall.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. In response to a growing body of evidence about the harm social media can do, the federal government is planning to ban Canadian children under the age of 16 from using it. Australia was first to do this, and governments around the world have been accelerating their plans, putting in place age restrictions to try to limit what young people are exposed to online. At the same time, tech companies are under increasing pressure to embed safety measures into their platforms, rather than putting the onus on parents and governments. Mackenzie Gray has our top story on Canada's online safety bill.
Even some kids realize the harmful impacts of social media.
There's a lot of problem nowadays with teen addiction, especially on social media.
That concern leading the Liberals to propose a social media ban for kids under 16. A government source tells Global News, a part of new online harms legislation set to be tabled this week, a move some parents are behind.
100% support it. Absolutely. It's for the safety of the children.
But it could lead to some issues at home.
I think they might start crying because some of them are on social media a lot. Yeah, no more doom scrolling on Instagram between classes and stuff like that.
Details on how a ban would be implemented, unclear, but advocates for the ban liken social media apps' addictiveness to smoking.
The age minimum is going to put this on the big tech companies, and it's going to allow parents to just keep parenting.
How tech companies would determine who's 16 isn't clear, but the best possible example comes from Australia, the first country to implement a similar ban, a policy designed to deal with anxious parents and not focus on how to actually help kids, according to this Australian researcher, who says kids have found the ban easy to break.
They're busy sharing tips on how to set up a VPN or how to fool age verification technologies, and often they're circumventing the law with the support of their parents.
Canadian kids ready to use the same tricks.
No ban for me. I like TikTok as well.
Do you think most of your friends are going to kind of try and find ways around it?
Yeah, for sure. I will.
A survey of Australian parents found that 2/3 of kids under 16 that had a social media account pre-ban kept it post-ban, leading Australia to threaten tech companies with a $50 million fine.
But I guess anecdotally, it's been challenging to implement.
Australia and Canada aren't alone in implementing a ban, with Greece, Denmark, Poland, Sweden, and the UK all promising similar restrictions, Donna, with Prime Minister Keir Starmer set to announce the UK's measures later this week.
Okay, Mackenzie Gray in Ottawa, thank you. Canada's new Governor General says she is embracing her new role. Former Supreme Court Justice Louise Arbour was installed today as Canada's 31st representative of the monarch in Canada. Arbour says she'll be sustained by the best qualities of Canada, and she intends to embody the empathy that lies at the heart of the nation. David Aiken reports on the elaborate ceremony this morning in Ottawa.
Do you, Louise Arbour, solemnly affirm that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III?
I do.
Louise Arbour becomes Governor General after an already illustrious career. A war crimes prosecutor, a Supreme Court justice, and the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights.
For sound judgment, deep learning, and an unwavering commitment to the rule of law, the very principles on which our new Governor General, Her Excellency Louise Arbour, has built her exceptional career.
Arbour will turn 80 next year, and yet she is ready to continue public service, succeeding Canada's first Indigenous Governor General, Mary Simon.
She has reminded us that reconciliation is a lifelong journey that begins with listening and with empathy.
The Senate was filled with dignitaries, former governors general and prime ministers, First Nations, Inuit and Métis leaders, even an astronaut. All gathered for a celebration. The music chosen by Arbour herself. There was a 21-gun salute, the raising of the Governor General's flag, and finally, Arbour's first speech as GG.
We do not mistake humility for weakness, nor do we measure a person's worth by the thickness of their wallet. We don't think we are perfect, but we believe we're pretty well on the way there.
And then to her first official duty at the National War Memorial. A moment to honor sacrifice and service. David Aiken, Global News, Ottawa.
A powerful earthquake in the Philippines has killed at least 35 people. It was a magnitude 7.8 quake. It struck off the coast of Mindanao, causing some buildings to collapse. More than 200 people have been injured, and rescue crews are still searching for survivors. The Philippines is prone to earthquakes, and this was the strongest this year. As Nathaniel Dove reports, it happened on the first day back to school after the summer break.
Bantay mo diate.
Students had just gathered at school when the ground started to shake. A 7.8 magnitude earthquake rocked the Philippines Monday morning local time. It tore buildings apart, displacing thousands of people. Authorities launched search and rescue efforts. This driver says he cried thinking about what might have happened to his children, and that this was the strongest quake he's lived through. It struck just off the coast of Mindanao Island before 8 a.m. About 700,000 people live in General Santos City.
My family members live just about an hour away from this city. So they said they were okay. That was a big relief for us.
Jeannie Buon was born in the Philippines and says she's lived through several quakes.
They're not just dealing with an earthquake, but you're also dealing with a tsunami, landslide, fires, people getting injured, people losing their homes.
Once the aftershocks passed, residents began trying to assess the total damage.
Walang tubig, walang kuryente, brownout man.
This man says there is no power or water.
Every ferry, every bus, every truck was canceled going to that island. So as we speak, my uncle is still stranded.
Canada's foreign minister says the country stands with the Philippines, writing, "Our thoughts are with the families of the dead and all those grieving." Through the night, first responders were still surveying the damage, still looking for survivors. Nathaniel Dove, Global News.
Iran and Israel have attacked each other again, the first time since the precarious ceasefire was declared 2 months ago. The missile strikes have now stopped, and Israel's prime minister says his country will hold off on attacking Iran for now. Both countries backed off after President Trump made some phone calls. But as Jackson Proskow reports, the peace deal Donald Trump has been promising continues to remain elusive.
As sirens wailed and missiles flew back and forth, Israel and Iran seemed ready to return to all-out war, only to back down under pressure from U.S. President Donald Trump, who warned they must immediately stop shooting. Trump phoned Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for a second time in 24 hours and asked him to back off, reportedly warning that Israel could be left alone against Iran if it escalated further. Netanyahu agreed, but vowed to respond with brute force if Iran attacked again. Iran responded in kind and warned the U.S. would bear any responsibility for further Israeli attacks, with its bases becoming targets again. The rapid escalation began with Israeli strikes on alleged Hezbollah targets in Beirut Sunday, which Iran had warned would be a red line. It made good on its promise to strike back, kicking off the tit-for-tat that saw Israel strike an Iranian petrochemical facility. It's now a question of whether the two sides hold their fire long enough for the U.S. and Iran to negotiate the ceasefire Trump keeps claiming is near.
Ultimately, we think a great deal, is likely coming soon.
Until that happens, civilians throughout the region remain on edge, caught in a seemingly endless cycle of war. Jackson Proskow, Global News, Washington.
China's president got a red carpet welcome on a rare visit to North Korea. Crowds of North Koreans gathered for a grand welcome. Xi Jinping and his wife greeted by North Korea's Kim Jong-un and his wife. It's Xi's first trip to North Korea in 7 years. Analysts believe the Chinese leader is looking to reassert influence over its strategically vital yet politically isolated ally. China has long been North Korea's economic lifeline and most important diplomatic backer. But in recent years, Pyongyang has grown closer to Moscow, deepening military ties and providing troops and weapons to support Russia's war in Ukraine. In Armenia, the governing pro-Europe party has claimed victory in the general election despite mounting economic pressure from Russia, Armenia's largest trading partner and traditional ally. Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan attracted almost 50% of the vote, securing a slim majority. He wants to deepen ties with the West and secure a peace deal with Azerbaijan, which has been at war with Armenia intermittently since the 1980s. Russia has accused the West of interfering in that vote. Pope Leo, who is on a week-long visit to Spain, met with 6 survivors of clergy sexual abuse in Madrid today. Following the closed-door meeting, the pontiff addressed Spain's Catholic bishops, saying they must listen to survivors and offer them reparations. He also gave the first ever papal address to Spanish lawmakers today. The Pope called for newfound respect for the rights of migrants and international law, saying the moral greatness of a nation is manifested, above all, in its capacity to accompany, protect, and love those lives that are most fragile. The campaign to keep Alberta in Canada coming up. The federal Conservative leader's message to Albertans. Plus, how Canadian doctors are using Botox to help dementia patients. And the bear that shut down almost 100 schools in Japan.
Come on. Come on. No!
That is part of a public service announcement in Vancouver ahead of the World Cup. Advocacy groups say research from other host cities shows a correlation between big events and an increase in reports of domestic and gender-based violence. Organizers are hoping their initiative will help improve community safety. A crisis line will be staffed 24/7. Volunteer outreach teams will also patrol the stadium and entertainment districts. The federal Conservative leader was in Calgary today trying to persuade separatists in that province they are on the wrong path. In a speech to Conservative supporters, Pierre Poilievre said the solution to their anger is not a break from Canada. Adam MacVicar reports on his message and how it landed.
Inside Calgary's oldest legion dedicated to the veterans of the Great War, Pierre Poilievre makes the case for Canada.
They fought for Canada, and now we must fight for Canada.
The Conservative leader addressing a room full of party faithful, laying blame for Alberta's separatist movement at the feet of the federal government and policies he says intrude on provincial jurisdiction.
We don't need a different country in Alberta. We need different government policies in Ottawa.
In his first speech on separatism in Alberta, Poilievre says he'll be speaking to both sides of the debate ahead of the vote on whether Alberta should remain in Canada or move forward on a referendum to leave. Poilievre, a welcome addition to the conversation, according to others campaigning to stay in Canada.
The conversation needs to be, how can we work within the Confederation? How can Alberta drive the Confederation forward? The conversation cannot be about how we break up the Confederation.
But not enough to convince some in the room who support a split.
I know he said that things need to be fixed. I don't think the Liberal government has the will to fix things.
What the Federalists don't understand, and what politicians like Pierre Poilievre refuse to acknowledge, is that all of the problems that Alberta has with Canada are structural.
But Poilievre urging against demonizing those who support separation.
If you want frustrated Albertans to vote for Canada, the absolute worst thing we can do is dismiss their legitimate grievances and thus signal there's no hope of fixing them at all.
Canada Day and the Calgary Stampede are just a few short weeks away, expected to kick off a summer of campaigning as Albertans head to the polls on October 19th. Adam MacVicar, Global News, Calgary.
Despite recent heavy rain in Vancouver, the city is cracking down on water use. Stage 3 water restrictions are now in effect for the first time in nearly 11 years. The city says the snowpack sits at less than 15% of the historical average for this time of year. A key water supply pipe is also temporarily out of service. Under the restrictions, pools, hot tubs and fountains in Metro Vancouver cannot be filled or topped up. Washing vehicles and boats at home is also forbidden. Lawn watering has been banned since the start of May. Ahead, how Botox is offering some people with advanced dementia some relief from symptoms. A neurologist in Toronto is offering new hope to patients who suffer from a little-known symptom of advanced dementia. Her findings, recently published in a leading geriatric health journal, focus on a condition that triggers involuntary muscle reflexes. It's often mistaken as aggression. Now, a familiar drug is showing promising results in offering relief. Taria Isri explains.
Dementia robs a person of their memories and often ability to show affection.
Can I see you straighten the arm?
For 89-year-old Giovanni Greco, a resident at Baycrest's long-term care home in Toronto, even the simple act of holding his daughter Rina Panicia's hand was excruciatingly difficult.
When he's not able to express what is bringing on this pain or what he's feeling, it's all a guessing game for us.
Hi, good to see you.
Neurologist Dr. Galit Kleiner has spent nearly 20 years treating patients like Greco, who live with a little-known symptom of advanced dementia called paratonia.
It'll appear that they are actively resisting any attempt to move their limb when in fact it's a reflex and they have no voluntary control over it.
Kleiner says paratonia often goes undiagnosed, mistaken for aggression, and frustrating families and caregivers. Kleiner is offering them new hope through an old drug. Botulinum toxin, better known by the brand name Botox, is used post-stroke to loosen muscles. It's now showing promise treating paratonia.
Wow, look at the beautiful hand hygiene.
Since Greco began the experimental therapy, he can unclench his fist and better connect with family.
That brings us great relief, great joy. We can't do much more for him other than make sure that he's not in pain.
He's one of around 100 patients who Kleiner says have been helped by this experimental therapy. But it's still out of reach for most. The injections for paratonia are not yet approved by Health Canada, and larger studies are still needed.
I see the suffering that they endure, and I see the possibilities of reducing that suffering and restoring dignity to them as human beings. It motivates me to continue to do this work.
Taria Isri, Global News, Montreal.
Next, how the discovery of a decades-old tip led to an extraordinary win at the races. A city in Japan has closed all 94 of its schools because a bear has been spotted roaming around. It was caught on surveillance camera running past people on a major shopping street. Bears have never been spotted this close to Tokyo. Bear attacks are on the rise in Japan. A record 50,000 sightings have been reported this year, and there have also been a record number of injuries and deaths. Well, it's a pretty safe bet. Most of us won't encounter a bear today, but betting on sports is a booming industry. A construction worker in the UK recently got an eerie tip about one of Britain's biggest horse races, a tip he and many others couldn't resist, even though it was written 62 years ago. Redmond Shannon weighs up the odds.
The Epsom Derby. Yes, that's how they pronounce it here. It's a right royal affair with a history almost 250 years long. The 2026 winner Saturday was not the bookies' favourite, but actually the result may have been written in stone, or rather, under stone. In April, workers at Crystal Palace Park in London were moving the bust of legendary architect Sir Joseph Paxton when one of them noticed something underneath. Buried under the marble bust were a note and some money, placed there in 1964. The coins amounted to 9 British shillings, equivalent to about $20 today. The note read, "These coins were planted in the year that Santa Claus won the Derby. When unearthed, the monetary value should be laid on a horse in the Derby whose name can be in some way associated with Santa Claus. And the best of British luck, P. Nugent Patterson."
We immediately all went to search engines, no names, and sure enough we spotted Christmas Day was running.
Yes, a horse named Christmas Day. Staff at Crystal Palace Park Trust and the construction workers couldn't resist a bet. Even the local mayor joined in.
Quite a few, and I think the people who didn't feel a bit sad they missed out.
And you guessed it, on Saturday Christmas arrived early, by 3 lengths to be precise.
I just couldn't believe that all of this could line up. It just felt like this is never going to happen in my life again. And to just be there in that moment was just like the best feeling. Wilder still, the middle name of the man who found the letter is Crăciun, the Romanian word for Christmas. The Park Trust is now trying to trace the man who wrote the letter all those years ago. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
Sometimes everything lines up, and that is Global National for this Monday. I'm Donna Friesen. Tonight's Your Canada is Lake of the Woods Provincial Park in northwestern Ontario. We would love to see your Canada. Please email it to globalnational@globalnews.ca. And thanks for watching. Hope to see you here again tomorrow. Bye-bye.